everybody. Today I am out on the Fox Lake Park Sanctuary here near my house doing a little training hike, just trying to get my body in shape a little bit. But I decided along the way I'd make a few stops today and talk about 7 tips that will help older hikers get through a section or through hike, or maybe even a day hike. But not to say that these tips wouldn't help any hiker, but definitely for somebody that's up in years like I am, things to be a little bit more cognizant of as you are hiking. So I'm going to start off with tip number 1, and that is exactly what I'm doing today. Pay very good attention to your pre-hike physical training. It can only help. A lot of people get out there and say they're going to hike themselves into shape, and yeah, you can do that. No problem, but it could be a problem. If you're in better shape as you get out on the trail, your hike experience is going to be a lot better in the beginning, and if you want to do a few more miles, you can do a few more miles. And it just opens up a few more possibilities rather than hiking yourself in shape. So that's number 1. I'm going to move on down the trail before we get to number 2. Number 2, clearance from your doctor. So as you get older, things break down a lot easier, and getting clearance from your doctor to do a through hike or long section hike is probably a good idea, more than it would be if you were a younger hiker. Got a little story to go along with that. Before I did my Appalachian Trail through hike in 2018, I have had 2 previous knee surgeries on my knee due to racquetball injuries. The first one was a ACL reconstruction, meniscus tear, cartilage damage. The second one was another meniscus tear with more cartilage damage. So I figured I would go see my orthopedic surgeon prior to doing the through hike, just to see if my knee would hold up through that process. When I went to my doctor, he sat down and he looked at the images from the very first surgery that I had, and he looked at me and he looked at the computer screen and he looked back at me and he said, "I wouldn't suggest you do this after your first knee surgery. There's no reason for me to even look at your second knee surgery." So I was pretty dejected and decided that I don't know what I'm going to do. And he looked back at me and he said, "Well, if you're going to through hike across the country, I just have one suggestion for you." And I got piped up thinking that he's going to give me, a brace or something that I could use. And he said, "Find a smaller country." So that was his advice. Went back to the car. Hadassah was with me. She was laughing, rolling on the floor. And she looked at me and she says, "You're still going to hike that trail, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, I am." And she got mad at me. Why did we even come see this doctor then? So that is a perfect example of do as I say, not as I do. But I knew going into that first hike that the chances of me finishing with the knee the way it was were slim. But I went ahead and did it anyway. I guess that's just because I'm stubborn. And I'm going to do the same thing with the CDT. My chances of finishing it with the knee that I have are probably slim, but I've got some guts and fortitude. I'm going to push my way through and see what happens. Don't let no doctor tell me what to do. That's silly. But check with your doctor beforehand. Get a full physical. Make sure there's nothing wrong, because wouldn't be anything worse than if you get out on the trail and all of a sudden you run into an issue that you didn't know you had, that a blood test or MRI or something could have checked you out beforehand getting out there. So check with your doctor before you go. Do as I say, not as I do. And any through hike attempt is an attempt until you finish the final day and touch the sign or touch the monument or whatever it is at the end. So everything that I do in the future is an attempted through hike. All right. I'm also going to add a little 2A to number 2, trekking poles. For the older hiker, trekking poles can be a much greater addition to your kit than maybe for somebody that's younger and stronger. The trekking poles, definitely for me, learning how to use them properly and getting up and down the trail, take a bunch of stress off of my knees, ankles, and hips. So with the bad knee, trekking poles definitely were an advantage. Helps you up the steep ups, down the steep downs, and helps take some of that stress off. So you're using your arms also to cushion some of the blows of the steps that are going downhill. And if you get to use them properly, you can use them to help push off and propel you forward and make your hike a little bit faster or a little bit longer each day. Trekking poles, I'm going to add that in number 2. Number 3 is something that everybody should do. You've heard it a million times from everybody that talks about hiking, but for the older hiker, it is definitely a must. It is hike your own hike. You will inevitably run into hikers out there that are faster than you. It's just going to happen unless you're somebody like Greg Hogmains or a beast like that. But if you try to keep up with somebody that is not at your pace, that they're faster than you, then you will run yourself into the ground. It's just a matter of time. You have to let them go and hope that if you want to, you can eventually catch up to them later on down the trail. But number 3, tried and true, hike your own hike. All right, leaving the Boy Scout camp here at the Fox Lake Park Sanctuary, and I believe we were at number 4. Number 4 tip for older hikers is a little bit of an enhanced medical kit. As you get older, you might need certain things to help you get through the day, like a shot of whiskey. No, I'm just kidding. So for me, I never take anything at home, even aspirin or ibuprofen or anything, but with me, and I do take it on the trail for sore muscles and everything, is take I take my share of ibuprofen. And another thing, as I've gotten older, that especially with some of the food that you're forced to eat on the trail, is indigestion. So I take a good amount of Tums with me, or some type of indigestion thing like that, to get me through the night sometimes, because it's rough to wake up with indigestion. And if you have any type of prescription medication that you need to take while you're out there, you've got to figure out a way to get that to you up the trail, unless you're able to take it from all you need from the very beginning. So you've got to figure out a way where you can get into towns and pick up either a box that you've mailed to yourself or somebody has mailed to you that has your prescription medication in it, or have that prescription medication mailed forward. Remembering that pickups in town, if you end up using a post office, you got to know those post office hours. If the post office closes at 3 on Friday and you get there at 4 o'clock on Friday, you are waiting until Monday morning to pick up that box if you have to have it. So prescription medications and medications that you might need to bring with you on the trail, number 4. All right, we're on number 5. So on a through hike or a long section hike, what part of your body usually hurts the most? Your feet. So it's a good idea to make sure before you leave, especially as an older hiker, that you get your feet or your shoes and socks and any orthotics or anything like that, system like that, you get that dialed in prior to leaving. What works for me or what works for other hikers might not work for you. Shoes and orthotics and stuff like that are a personal preference type of thing. I do work at REI, and I work in the REI at Winter Park in Orlando. I do know that we have some very good shoe specialists there. If you happen to be in the area, you want to get fitted and figure out how the best way to tie your shoes are, the best way to fit your shoes, any orthotics you might need. We got Dorian, we got Jason, we got Nate, and several other people that work there that, man, they know shoes. But make sure that you get your shoes and orthotic system, if you're going to wear any orthotics, worked out prior to leaving, or you could be paying the price. All right, hiking on. Alrighty, number 6. So, as an older hiker, you end up getting some knots and sore muscles and some issues that happening to you that maybe some of the younger hikers don't get. So, one of the things I would suggest is you bring you some type of muscle roller or a cork ball or something that you can stick up on your back and rub those sore muscles out, whether it be your back, your legs, your calves, whatever it may be. One of the things that I'm actually doing right now to test out is the compression sleeves. I've got some, let's see if they're going to show, Zinza compression sleeves on my calves. I'm actually trying those out today and seeing how they work for me. If they don't, I won't carry them, but I'm going to see how they feel. So far so good. I'm about 6 or 7 miles in. Probably going to do 10 today, but some type of way to get your muscles rolled out and get some soreness in the joints and stuff rolled out at the end of the night. That's number 6. One more. Alright, done with the hike for today. Got my 10 miles in and sitting here getting ready to head home and want to come up with number 7. Number 7, and probably the most important for me, is Pea Bottle. As you get older, your bladder doesn't hold as easily as it used to, so it saves you a lot of time and hassle getting up and getting out of your tent and taking care of your business, having to come back in. Just use the bottle. So, time saver and life saver. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will be back at you as soon as I can, and hope everybody's doing great. PT out.